Maya Chen extends her hand at the charity gala. Victoria Whitmore stares and says coldly, "The help entrance is around back, dear." Maya's smile never wavers as she responds quietly, "I think there's been a misunderstanding." What Victoria doesn't know is that Maya holds the power to destroy everything the Whitmore family has built, and she's about to use it. The woman Victoria just dismissed as hired help controls a $500 million deal that could save or sink the Whitmore empire. What would you do if this happened to you? Drop your location below. The Whitmores have no idea who they just humiliated. Maya arrives at Hampton Hills Country Club's annual charity gala in her tailored navy suit, carrying herself with the quiet confidence of someone who belongs everywhere yet expects to be questioned anywhere. The $10,000 per plate event glitters with old money and new wealth, all carefully orchestrated around marble columns and crystal chandeliers. She observes the familiar dance, conversations that pause when she passes, servers who assume she's staff, guests whose eyes slide past her as if she's furniture. Maya has navigated these spaces her entire career, first as her father's protege, now as CEO of Chen Industries. The Whitmore family holds court near the auction display. Victoria Whitmore, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, regales donors with stories about preserving family legacy and maintaining standards. Her son Robert nods along desperately. Their luxury resort chain has been hemorrhaging money for 2 years. His wife Jessica films everything for their social media presence, curating their perfect image. Maya approaches deliberately. She needs to assess them in person before finalizing the acquisition deal that could save Whitmore Estates. The due diligence reports tell one story, but character reveals itself in moments like these. Victoria's voice carries across the room. Standards matter, especially in hospitality. Our guests expect a certain caliber of experience. Maya steps closer, noting how Victoria's gaze sweeps past minority staff members as if they're invisible. The business magazines called Victoria a hospitality visionary, but Maya sees something else entirely. A woman who mistakes exclusion for excellence. Maya has no idea she's walking into a trap of their own prejudice. Maya approaches during cocktail hour, extending her hand professionally. "Mrs. Whitmore, I'm Maya Chen. I believe we have mutual business interests." Victoria doesn't even glance at the extended hand. She surveys Maya's impeccable outfit with barely concealed disdain. "The help entrance is around back, dear. And next time, wear the proper uniform." The surrounding conversation stops like a record scratch. Crystal glasses pause mid-sip. Robert shifts uncomfortably, but says nothing. Jessica giggles and whispers to her friend, "Can you believe the audacity?" Maya's hand remains steady in the air for exactly 3 more seconds, long enough to make the silence uncomfortable. Her voice stays level. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." Victoria's eyes narrow into sharp points. "The only misunderstanding is you thinking you belong here. Security." A nearby waiter, who recognizes Maya from Forbes covers, steps forward hesitantly. "Mrs. Whitmore, I believe this is—" "I don't care who she claims to be," Victoria cuts him off with imperial authority. "Remove her immediately." Maya raises her hand gently, stopping the waiter's intervention. She pulls out her phone, appearing to call for a ride. Instead, she opens her voice recorder app with practiced discretion. "No need for security," Maya says calmly, her finger hovering over the record button. "I'll see myself out. But first, what's your company's name again? For my records." Victoria's chest swells with pride. "Whitmore Estates. Premier Luxury Resorts. Perhaps you've heard of us?" Maya nods slowly, her recording app capturing every word. "Oh yes, I've heard quite a lot about Whitmore Estates recently." Maya's recording everything, but Victoria has no idea what storm she unleashed. Victoria isn't finished. The growing audience emboldens her, feeding her need to perform superiority. You know what? This is exactly what's wrong with society today. People thinking they can just show up anywhere, demanding respect they haven't earned. A circle forms around them like spectators at a car crash. Phones emerge, some recording Victoria's performance, others capturing Maya's response. Maya stands perfectly still, her recording app still running, documenting every poisonous word. Robert finally speaks, his voice weak. "Mother, maybe we should—" "No, Robert. This is a teachable moment." Victoria's voice projects across the marble floor, carrying to every corner of the room. "Young lady, since you're so determined to stay, why don't you make yourself useful? Clear these empty glasses." She gestures imperiously toward a nearby cocktail table littered with abandoned champagne flutes. The crowd gasps audibly. Someone whispers, "She cannot be serious." Maya looks at the glasses, then back at Victoria. For a moment, something dangerous flickers behind her eyes, a flash of fury so intense it makes Victoria unconsciously step backward. Then Maya smiles, small and mysterious, making Victoria's confidence waver. "You want me to clear the glasses?" Maya asks quietly. "It's honest work," Victoria replies, though her voice lacks its earlier conviction. "More honest than whatever scheme brought you here." Maya walks to the table with deliberate grace. She picks up one crystal champagne flute, examining it in the light like a jeweler appraising a diamond. The room holds its collective breath. "Baccarat crystal," Maya observes conversationally. "About $200 per glass. French craftsmanship. Excellent choice for an event of this caliber." She sets it down with infinite care and picks up another. "You know what's interesting about crystal, Mrs. Whitmore? It looks fragile, but it's actually quite resilient. It can withstand enormous pressure until it reaches its breaking point." Victoria's smugness returns like armor. "Are you going to clear the table or keep philosophizing?" Maya carefully stacks 3 glasses with the practiced efficiency of someone who's worked service jobs. The crowd watches in fascinated horror as she moves with professional grace, transforming humiliation into performance art. "There," Maya says, arranging the final glass. "All clear." Victoria claps slowly, mockingly, her applause echoing off marble walls. "See? I knew you had it in you. Perhaps there's a future for you in hospitality service after all." Even Victoria's supporters shift uncomfortably. The performance has gone too far, crossed lines that shouldn't be crossed in public. Maya reaches into her blazer and withdraws a business card, expensive cardstock with embossed lettering that catches the light. She places it beside the stacked glasses like leaving a tip. "For future reference," she says with deadly calm, "in case anyone needs to reach me." Victoria doesn't look at the card. "I won't be needing your services." Maya nods thoughtfully. "We'll see about that, Mrs. Whitmore. We'll definitely see." She turns to leave, then pauses. "Oh, and Mrs. Whitmore, you're absolutely right about one thing. This was a teachable moment." Victoria still hasn't looked at the business card that changes everything. Maya walks steadily to the club's marble terrace, her heels clicking against polished stone. The manicured grounds stretch below her, but she sees only the fire burning behind her composed exterior. She's been underestimated before, dismissed and overlooked, but never publicly humiliated like a servant. Her hands remain steady as she dials Marcus, her assistant. "The Whitmore deal. Pull all documentation, every contract, every financial statement, every background check on my desk in 2 hours." "Maya, what happened? You sound—" "They made their choice, Marcus. Now I'm making mine." She hangs up and immediately calls her legal team. "Sarah, it's Maya. I need you to research discrimination laws in New York, specifically public accommodation and business interference statutes." "Are you filing a complaint?" "I'm exploring all options. Also, draft a formal cancellation letter for the Whitmore acquisition. Don't send it yet. Just have it ready." Her phone buzzes with notifications. The incident is already spreading across social media like wildfire. #Whitmore racism begins trending. Someone filmed Victoria's teachable moment speech and the video is gaining momentum. Maya calls her PR firm. David, we have a situation. The Whitmore event video is going viral. I need a statement prepared but nothing reactive. Professional, factual, and strategic. Maya, I'm watching the clips now. This is absolutely outrageous. We should be smart. They think they humiliated someone powerless. Let them think that for exactly 24 more hours. Inside the gala, Victoria basks in approval from her inner circle. Someone had to put her in her place, she tells Robert with satisfaction. These people need to learn boundaries. Robert picks up Maya's business card from the cocktail table. His face drains of all color. Mother, you need to see this. What now, Robert? He hands her the card with trembling fingers. Embossed in elegant script, Maya Chen, CEO, Chen Industries, Mergers and Acquisitions. Victoria stares at the card. Chen Industries. Why does that sound familiar? Robert's voice is barely a whisper. They're the company buying us out. The $500 million deal. She's our buyer. The color drains from Victoria's face like water from a broken dam. Jessica stops filming her Instagram story mid-sentence. That's impossible, Victoria stammers. She can't be. I've seen her photo in business magazines, Mother. That was Maya Chen. The Maya Chen. Victoria sinks into a nearby chair, still clutching the business card. Around them, other guests check their phones, seeing the viral videos, recognizing Maya's name in the comments. What have I done? Victoria whispers. Robert pulls out his phone to call their lawyer, but Maya's next moves are already in motion across Manhattan. Her assistant cancels meetings, her legal team drafts papers, and her PR firm prepares a statement that will reshape everything. The Whitmores finally know who they destroyed, but they don't know what's coming. Victoria paces her Hampton Estates mahogany study at 2 a.m., Maya's business card clutched in her shaking hands. The viral videos have exploded to 2.3 million views. Her phone buzzes relentlessly. Reporters, board members, family friends asking if she's lost her mind. Robert, call Chen Industries immediately. Arrange a meeting. We need to fix this disaster. Robert looks up from his laptop, his face haggard with exhaustion. I've been trying for 6 hours, Mother. Her assistant says she's unavailable indefinitely. Jessica sits in the corner, scrolling through brutal comments on her social media. Her carefully curated influencer brand is hemorrhaging followers by the minute. They're calling us the racist resort family. My sponsorship deals are getting canceled. Victoria calls their family lawyer with desperate urgency. Mitchell, what are our options here? Victoria, I watched the video. You publicly humiliated a Fortune 500 CEO during active business negotiations. There are no good options. She was pretending to be someone else. She literally introduced herself by name. You assumed she was staff based on what exactly? Victoria can't answer that question without admitting the truth everyone already knows. Meanwhile, Maya sits in her corner office overlooking Central Park's autumn canopy. Marcus briefs her on the escalating fallout. The video's been shared by 3 major news outlets. Whitmore Estates stock dropped 12% in after-hours trading. And their debt situation? Worse than we initially thought. Without our acquisition, they'll face bankruptcy within 18 months. The other interested buyers are pulling out after seeing the video. Maya nods with grim satisfaction. Good. Let them sweat for 48 hours. Then we proceed. Her phone buzzes. A text from her mentor, retired Supreme Court Justice Patricia Williams. Saw the news. Proud of how you handled yourself. Now finish what you started. Maya smiles. Justice Williams taught her that true power isn't about revenge. It's about systematic change that outlasts personal satisfaction. Victoria thinks this is about saving one deal, but Maya's planning something much bigger. Robert storms into his mother's bedroom at dawn, his face pale with fresh panic. Mother, wake up. We have a bigger problem. Victoria sits up, disoriented and exhausted. What time is it? Chen Industries just released a statement. It's devastating. He reads from his phone with a shaking voice. Chen Industries confirms the termination of all business discussions with Whitmore Estates, effective immediately. We remain committed to investing in hospitality partners who share our values of dignity, respect, and equality. Victoria's face crumbles like ancient paper. That's it? Nothing about reconciliation. No room for negotiation. There's more. They're announcing a $50 million fund for minority-owned hospitality businesses. The press is calling it the Dignity Initiative. Victoria realizes, with growing horror, that Maya isn't just walking away. She's turning their humiliation into a movement, using their discrimination as fuel for systemic change. Maya addresses her executive team in Chen Industries' glass-walled boardroom. The Whitmore cancellation frees up significant capital. I want us to identify 50 minority-owned hospitality businesses for potential investment within the week. Her CFO raises his hand tentatively. Maya, the PR value is obvious, but from a purely financial perspective, this isn't about PR, James. It's about building the industry we want to see. The Whitmores treated me like hired help because they can't imagine someone like me in power. We're going to make that imagination irrelevant. Marcus slides a folder across the polished table. The discrimination attorneys want to meet. They think you have grounds for a significant lawsuit. Maya opens the folder, scanning the legal analysis with practiced eyes. Interesting, but litigation takes years, and I'm not interested in making the Whitmores martyrs. So what's the plan? Maya stands, looking out at Manhattan's towering skyline, where power reshapes itself daily. We're going to do something much more effective than suing them. We're going to make them irrelevant. Maya's plan goes far beyond the Whitmores. She's reshaping an entire industry. Victoria sits across from crisis management consultant Patricia Stone in a sterile Manhattan conference room, her desperation palpable. Your only option is a full public apology, Patricia says bluntly. Acknowledge the racism, commit to sensitivity training, and hope Maya Chen shows mercy. I won't grovel to that woman. Then you'll lose everything. Your company, your reputation, your family's legacy, all of it. Robert slumps in his chair like a deflated balloon. Mother, our biggest investors are demanding answers. The Hamptons Country Club is considering revoking our membership. This goes beyond business now. It's personal. Victoria's phone buzzes with another notification. Maya Chen is being interviewed on CNBC about conscious capitalism and industry transformation, using their humiliation as a teaching moment for the entire business world. Maya sits across from financial journalist Rebecca Martinez in Chen Industries' sleek media room, the Manhattan skyline providing a backdrop of power and success. Ms. Chen, critics say you're using your personal experience to make business decisions. How do you respond? Rebecca, business is deeply personal. When someone shows you who they are, you believe them. The Whitmores showed me, and the world, exactly who they are. Are you open to reconciliation if they apologize? Maya pauses thoughtfully, choosing her words with surgical precision. An apology doesn't undo the mindset that made them think it was acceptable to humiliate someone publicly. Real change requires systemic accountability. What does that look like? It looks like the 50 companies we're about to fund. It looks like boardrooms that reflect the communities they serve. It looks like making discrimination so costly that it becomes extinct. The interview airs during prime time. #Dignity Initiative trends worldwide, garnering support from celebrities, politicians, and business leaders. Have you ever witnessed racism like this? Tell us your story in the comments. Victoria finally realizes this isn't about money, it's about power, and Maya holds all of it. Maya calls a press conference at Chen Industries headquarters. The room overflows with financial journalists, diversity advocates, and industry leaders hanging on her every word. Victoria Whitmore sits in the back row, uninvited but desperate, her former authority reduced to that of a supplicant. 6 months ago, I inherited Chen Industries from my late father. Maya begins, her voice carrying absolute authority. What many people don't know is that we're not just an acquisitions firm, we're the largest private hospitality investor in North America. She clicks to her first slide, a comprehensive map showing Chen Industries' vast portfolio like pins on a battlefield. We currently hold controlling interests in 340 hotels, 89 resorts, and 156 restaurants across the continent. Combined annual revenue, $2.8 billion. The room murmurs with recognition and shock. Maya continues with devastating precision. When I was publicly humiliated at Hampton Hills Country Club, Mrs. Victoria Whitmore didn't just insult me personally. She insulted every person of color who's ever been made to feel unwelcome in spaces they have every right to occupy. Victoria shrinks in her seat as cameras pivot toward her like weapons targeting their mark. The Whitmore family approached us for a buyout because their business is failing catastrophically. What they didn't realize is that Chen Industries has been quietly acquiring their competitors for the past 2 years. We now control 60% of the luxury resort market on the eastern seaboard. Maya clicks to a damning financial chart. Without our acquisition, Whitmore Estates will enter bankruptcy within 12 months. Their creditors know this. Their investors know this. Their employees know this. Robert Whitmore watches from the lobby on his phone's live stream, his face pale as death. But here's what Mrs. Whitmore doesn't know yet. Maya continues, building to her devastating crescendo. 3 days ago, I purchased the outstanding debt on Whitmore Estates' primary properties. All $180 million of it. The room erupts in shocked exclamations. Victoria stands up abruptly, her hand covering her mouth in horror. I now hold the power to foreclose on every Whitmore property. I could liquidate their assets tomorrow morning if I chose to. Maya pauses, letting the weight of absolute power settle over the room like a shroud. But I won't, because that would hurt the 2,400 innocent employees who work for Whitmore Estates. Instead, I'm going to demonstrate what real leadership looks like. She clicks to her final slide. The Dignity Initiative. Chen Industries will acquire Whitmore Estates employees, honoring all existing contracts and providing enhanced benefits. We'll purchase their properties at fair market value, enough to pay their debts, but not enough to preserve the Whitmore family's wealth. Victoria collapses back into her seat, the full scope of her downfall finally clear. Every former Whitmore property will be rebranded under our new Dignity Hospitality Division, managed by a leadership team that's 70% people of color and 60% women. We'll implement industry-leading anti-discrimination policies and create a $10 million fund for employee education and advancement. The applause thunders through the room like a standing ovation at a championship victory. Maya raises her hand for silence. To be absolutely clear, this isn't revenge. This is justice. Mrs. Whitmore's prejudice didn't just hurt me. It revealed a systemic problem in our industry. We're going to fix that problem, one property at a time. A reporter shouts above the noise, "What's your message to other business leaders?" Maya looks directly into the camera with laser focus. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong. It's financially stupid. In today's market, you can't afford to underestimate anyone, because the person you humiliate today might be the person who controls your future tomorrow. Victoria stumbles out of the building, pursued by reporters like hounds chasing wounded prey. Her phone buzzes with a text from Maya's assistant. "Mrs. Whitmore, Ms. Chen will see you now if you'd like to discuss terms." Victoria looks up at the Chen Industries building, realizing she's gone from hunter to hunted in less than a week. Victoria must now grovel to the woman she humiliated, but will Maya show mercy? Victoria sits in Chen Industries' waiting room, her designer handbag clutched like armor against complete defeat. The mahogany and marble decor screams power, power she no longer possesses. Maya's assistant Marcus escorts her to a conference room where Maya waits with her legal team, the dynamic completely reversed. "Mrs. Whitmore," Maya says neutrally, remaining seated while Victoria stands like a defendant awaiting judgment. "Please, sit." Victoria's voice shakes with barely controlled desperation. Ms. Chen, I want to apologize. Stop. Maya's hand rises slightly, cutting off the plea with surgical precision. We're past apologies. This is a business meeting. Sarah, Maya's lead attorney, slides a thick document across the polished table like serving a death warrant. These are the terms for the acquisition of Whitmore Estates assets and employee contracts. Victoria scans the papers with trembling hands, each page sealing her family's fate. This leaves us with nothing. Not true, Maya replies with deadly calm. It leaves you debt-free and with your personal residences intact. Your children can start over without the burden of your business failures. But the family name, our legacy. Your legacy is a viral video of you telling a Fortune 500 CEO to clear glasses because of her race. The Whitmore name in hospitality is finished forever. Robert enters the room after driving frantically from the Hamptons. Ms. Chen, surely we can negotiate. No, Maya cuts him off without mercy. Your mother had the opportunity to negotiate when she approached us 6 months ago. Instead, she chose humiliation. Now you have exactly one choice: accept these terms or face bankruptcy and foreclosure. At Whitmore Estates' flagship Hampton Resort, General Manager Maria Santos addresses her anxious staff. The rumors have been circulating for days, creating fear and uncertainty among workers who depend on their jobs. I know you're all concerned about your positions, Maria begins, holding Chen Industries' official statement. I have an update that should ease your worries. She reads directly from Maya's announcement. All current Whitmore Estates employees will be retained under improved contracts with Chen Industries' Dignity Hospitality Division. No one will lose their job due to this transition. The relief in the room is almost tangible, like pressure being released from an overinflated balloon. Housekeeper Rosa Martinez raises her hand tentatively. What about benefits and advancement? Enhanced health care, education assistance for your children, and a clear path for advancement regardless of background. Maria continues reading. Ms. Chen specifically requested that promotion decisions be based solely on merit and performance. Chef Antoine Williams, one of only 3 black managers in the company, despite 15 years of exemplary service, wipes his eyes. I never thought I'd see this day come. In boardrooms across New York, hospitality executives hold emergency meetings as the Whitmore incident sends shockwaves through the entire industry, like an earthquake revealing structural flaws. At Meridian Hotels, CEO James Patterson addresses his leadership team with newfound urgency. I want every single diversity policy reviewed immediately. Our legal team is drafting new anti-discrimination protocols. What happened to Whitmore cannot happen here. Sir, his HR director interjects nervously, Maya Chen just announced she's creating an industry watchdog organization. They'll be monitoring hiring practices, customer treatment, and executive behavior across all major hospitality companies. Patterson nods grimly. Then we better make sure we're compliant. Chen Industries controls too much of our supply chain to risk their wrath. At Morrison, Bradley & Associates, civil rights attorney David Morrison reviews the Chen Whitmore case with his partners, recognizing a new paradigm in corporate accountability. Maya Chen's approach is absolutely brilliant, he tells his team. Instead of filing discrimination suits that take years to resolve, she used market power to create immediate systemic change. Is it legal? Asks junior partner Linda Hayes. Completely. She's not using illegal coercion. She's using legitimate business pressure. The Whitmores created their own vulnerability through poor financial management. Chen just capitalized on it masterfully. Morrison pulls up Chen Industries' stock performance on his computer screen. She's up 23% since the incident. Investors love companies that take strong moral positions. She's proven that doing the right thing is incredibly profitable. The story dominates news cycles for an entire week. Maya appears on 60 Minutes, The Daily Show, and gives a keynote at Harvard Business School, using her platform to reshape conversations about power and accountability. CNN's Anderson Cooper asks her the question everyone wants answered. Critics say you destroyed a family business over a personal slight. How do you respond to that charge? Anderson, this wasn't personal. It was systemic. The Whitmore's behavior revealed an attitude that pervades our entire industry. When someone shows you they view certain people as inherently inferior, that's not a personal problem. That's a business liability that affects everyone. But some say your response was disproportionate. What's disproportionate is 3 generations of minorities being told they don't belong in spaces they have every right to occupy. What's disproportionate is talented employees being passed over for promotion because of their skin color. The Whitmore's downfall wasn't about one incident. It was about decades of discriminatory practices finally catching up with them. Back in the Chen Industries conference room, Victoria stares at the contract that will end her family's hospitality empire forever. If I sign this, she asks quietly, what guarantee do I have that you won't destroy us further? Maya leans forward, her voice carrying the weight of absolute power. Mrs. Whitmore, I have no interest in destroying you personally. My interest is in making sure no one else experiences what I experienced at your hands. And if I had just been polite that night, then you'd still own your company, and we'd probably be partners instead of adversaries. But you can't undo character, Mrs. Whitmore. You can only face its consequences. Victoria signs each page with shaking hands, her signature sealing the end of everything her family built. When it's finished, she looks up at Maya one final time. I hope you understand that this will ruin us completely. Maya's expression doesn't change, revealing no satisfaction or mercy. Mrs. Whitmore, you ruined yourselves. I just decided not to save you. The contracts are signed, but Victoria's public downfall is just beginning. 3 weeks later, Victoria sits in the New York State Human Rights Commission hearing room, facing formal discrimination charges. The complaint was filed by the NAACP on Maya's behalf, even though Maya never requested legal action. The incident was too public to ignore. Commissioner Elena Rodriguez reviews the case file with stern authority. Mrs. Whitmore, you're here to address allegations of public accommodation discrimination under New York Civil Rights Law Section 40C. Victoria's lawyer, Mitchell Barnes, attempts damage control with desperation in his voice. Commissioner, my client has already faced significant financial consequences. The market has punished Whitmore Estates beyond any proportional response. Mr. Barnes, Commissioner Rodriguez interrupts sharply. Financial consequences don't negate civil rights violations. The video evidence clearly shows your client publicly humiliated Ms. Chen based on racial assumptions. The hearing room overflows with civil rights advocates, hospitality workers, and media representatives. Maya sits in the front row, calm and composed, her presence commanding respect without demanding attention. Victoria takes the stand with visible reluctance. I made a mistake. I was stressed about business pressures, and I reacted poorly. Mrs. Whitmore, the commissioner cuts her off, you told a Fortune 500 CEO to use the servants' entrance and demanded she clear tables. Was this your standard greeting for all business associates? No, but did you ask Ms. Chen's name before assuming she was staff? She introduced herself, but I thought... You thought what, exactly? Victoria's silence stretches uncomfortably across the room, like a confession written in quiet desperation. Finally, I made assumptions based on what I expected to see at that event. And what did you expect to see? People who looked like they belonged there. The admission hangs in the air like a guilty verdict delivered by Victoria herself. When called to testify, Maya speaks with measured clarity. Commissioner, I didn't file this complaint to punish Mrs. Whitmore personally, but her actions that night represented something larger, the assumption that people who look like me don't belong in positions of power. How has this incident affected you professionally? It's actually strengthened my resolve. The Dignity Initiative has received $2 billion in investment commitments from other companies who want to demonstrate their values. We're funding 200 minority-owned businesses this year alone. Any regrets about your response? Maya pauses thoughtfully. I regret that it took public humiliation to create change. But I don't regret using my position to ensure this behavior has real consequences. Commissioner Rodriguez delivers the decision with finality. This commission finds that Victoria Whitmore violated New York civil rights law through discriminatory public accommodation practices. However, given the significant financial and reputational consequences already imposed by market forces, we're recommending community service rather than financial penalties. Mrs. Whitmore will complete 200 hours of service with organizations focused on diversity and inclusion in hospitality. Additionally, she'll participate in a public education campaign about unconscious bias in business settings. Victoria sags in her chair as the gavel falls. Public humiliation, financial ruin, and now mandated community service. Her fall from grace is complete and irreversible. Outside the hearing, reporters swarm both women like vultures, circling their prey. Victoria hurries to a waiting car, refusing all comments. Maya addresses the media with characteristic composure. This case was never about punishment. It was about accountability. Mrs. Whitmore will have the opportunity to contribute positively to the same communities she previously excluded. That's not punishment. That's redemption. A reporter shouts above the crowd, "Do you feel vindicated?" I feel hopeful. Today's decision sends a message that discrimination has real consequences, but also that people can change. The question is whether they choose to. That evening, Victoria watches the news coverage from her scaled-down apartment, having sold the Hampton estate to pay debts. The anchors discuss her spectacular fall from grace and Maya's masterclass in strategic justice. Her son Robert calls from Colorado. "Mother, I start my new job at a hotel next week, general management training program." "Working for someone else?" Victoria says bitterly. "Working honestly, Mother. Maybe that's not such a bad thing." Victoria hangs up and stares at the community service assignment letter. 200 hours helping the very communities she'd spent decades excluding from her world. Victoria's punishment is complete, but Maya's transformation of the industry continues. 6 months after the Whitmore incident, the hospitality industry operates under a fundamentally different paradigm. Maya's Dignity Initiative has become the gold standard for corporate responsibility, forcing competitors to elevate their practices or risk being left behind. At the International Hospitality Conference in Las Vegas, Maya delivers the keynote address to 3,000 industry leaders. The same people who once overlooked her potential now hang on her every word like disciples learning from a master. The Whitmore incident wasn't just about one family's prejudice, she tells the captivated audience. It was a mirror showing us who we've allowed ourselves to become as an industry. The transformation statistics she presents are staggering. The Dignity Initiative has invested $500 million in minority-owned hospitality businesses. 37 major hotel chains have implemented comprehensive new diversity policies. Industry-wide minority representation in management roles has increased 40% in 6 months. But the real change isn't in the statistics, Maya continues with conviction. It's in the culture. When discrimination becomes too expensive to maintain, it stops being systemic. At a renovated former Whitmore property in the Hamptons, now rebranded as Dignity Resort and Spa, General Manager Maria Santos shows visiting journalists the transformed facility that represents hope made manifest. Ms. Chen kept every promise, Maria explains proudly. Every employee was retained, and 60% of our management team are people who were passed over for promotion under the previous ownership. Chef Antoine Williams, now executive chef after 15 years of being overlooked, leads them through his gleaming kitchen. I watched less qualified employees get promoted while I stayed in the same position. Ms. Chen looked at my performance record and promoted me immediately. This is what merit-based advancement actually looks like. The resort's customer satisfaction scores are the highest in the region. Revenue has increased 30% from the Whitmore era, proving that inclusion is profitable. The Chen model, as business schools now call it, has spread across multiple industries like a beneficial virus. Rather than lengthy litigation or token diversity programs, companies face direct market consequences for discriminatory behavior. At Harvard Business School, Professor Janet Martinez teaches a case study called Strategic Justice: The Chen Industry's Approach to MBA students who will shape tomorrow's corporate culture. The genius of Chen's strategy, Martinez explains, was recognizing that sustainable change requires economic incentives. She made inclusion profitable and discrimination financially devastating. One student raises her hand. But wasn't her response disproportionately harsh to the Whitmore family? That question reveals the problem. Martinez responds firmly. We're more concerned about consequences for perpetrators than justice for victims. Chen didn't destroy the Whitmores. She simply removed their power to discriminate. Victoria completes her community service at a job training center in the Bronx, teaching hospitality skills to immigrants and formerly incarcerated individuals. The work proves unexpectedly humbling. These students show more grace and determination than she ever displayed in her privileged business career. Mrs. Whitmore, asks Maria, a young Latina woman learning hotel management, why did you originally get into hospitality? Victoria pauses, remembering her genuine love for creating beautiful experiences before prejudice poisoned her perspective. I wanted to make people feel welcome, she admits quietly. Then you understand what we're trying to do here, Maria responds with kindness Victoria doesn't deserve. Everyone deserves to feel welcome. For the first time in months, Victoria glimpses a path toward redemption that doesn't involve reclaiming power. It involves earning forgiveness through service. The industry has changed forever, but can individual hearts transform too? 1 year later, Maya stands in her corner office, watching autumn leaves fall across Central Park like confetti celebrating sustained victory. Marcus brings her the quarterly Dignity Initiative report. 500 businesses funded, 15,000 jobs created, $3.2 billion in economic impact that reverberates across communities nationwide. The documentary crew is here for your final interview, Marcus informs her. Maya nods. The Netflix documentary, The $500 Million Decision, has chronicled the Whitmore incident's ripple effects across American business for 6 months, transforming one moment of humiliation into a case study for systemic change. In the conference room, director Sandra Kim adjusts her camera for the closing interview. Maya, it's been a year since Hampton Hills. What's your biggest takeaway? Maya considers the question with characteristic thoughtfulness. That power unused is just potential. Power used wisely creates lasting change. Power used poorly destroys everything, including the person wielding it. Do you ever think about what might have happened if Victoria Whitmore had simply been polite that night? Every day, she'd still have her company. Her employees would be thriving under ethical leadership, and I'd be $500 million poorer. Maya laughs softly. Her prejudice proved expensive for her, but profitable for progress. Any regrets? Only that it took public humiliation to create change that should have happened decades ago. But sometimes the world needs to see consequences before it believes transformation is possible. Victoria finishes her final day of community service at the Bronx Training Center, her perspective fundamentally altered by months of genuine service. Her student Maria presents her with a handwritten card signed by the entire class. Thank you for teaching us that everyone deserves a second chance, including yourself. Victoria's eyes well up with tears she's held back for months. For the first time since her downfall, she feels something other than shame. She feels purpose beyond personal gain. Later, she calls Maya's office with surprising courage. Marcus, genuinely surprised to hear from her, patches her through after a moment's hesitation. Ms. Chen, I don't expect forgiveness, Victoria begins carefully. But I wanted you to know that my community service taught me something crucial. The people I spent my life excluding showed me the most grace when I had nothing left to offer them. Maya listens quietly, allowing Victoria the dignity of full expression. I'm starting a small consulting business, Victoria continues with newfound humility. Teaching hospitality companies how to avoid the mistakes I made. Not for profit, for atonement. Mrs. Whitmore, Maya responds thoughtfully, accountability that leads to meaningful action is the beginning of redemption. I genuinely wish you success. It's not forgiveness, but it represents something more valuable, a path forward built on earned respect rather than inherited privilege. At Dignity Resort, General Manager Maria Santos addresses new employee orientation. The room reflects true diversity, young and old, every ethnicity, various backgrounds united by one common trait, demonstrated talent and commitment. This company was built on the principle that everyone deserves respect and opportunity, Maria tells them with conviction. A year ago, the previous owners learned what happens when you treat people as less than human. They lost everything they had built. She gestures to a framed photo on the wall. Maya Chen cutting the ribbon at the resort's reopening, surrounded by smiling employees of all backgrounds who represent the industry's transformed future. Ms. Chen could have chosen revenge. Instead, she chose reconstruction. She transformed discrimination into opportunity, prejudice into progress. That's the standard we maintain here, not just inclusion, but active transformation. Maya's final interview question comes from a young black journalism student in the audience. Ms. Chen, what would you tell someone facing discrimination who doesn't have $500 million to fight back? Maya pauses, remembering her own struggles before inheriting Chen Industries and the countless others who lack her resources. You don't need money to possess real power. You need patience, strategic thinking, and absolute refusal to accept being treated as less than you are. Document everything. Build genuine allies. Choose your battles wisely. And remember, the person who underestimates you today might desperately need you tomorrow. She looks directly into the camera with unwavering conviction. Dignity isn't negotiable. Respect isn't earned through submission. And justice delayed doesn't have to mean justice denied. Sometimes it just means justice strategically planned. Maya's story ends, but her movement continues transforming lives worldwide. 6 months later, the Chen model has spread internationally like a beneficial epidemic. From London to Tokyo to São Paulo, companies implement dignity-based business practices not from altruism, but from economic necessity driven by Maya's proven example. Maya receives daily letters from entrepreneurs worldwide. One from Nigeria reads, Ms. Chen, I watched your story and started a hospitality company based on Dignity Initiative principles. We just received our first major investment. Thank you for showing us that doing right is profitable. Similar testimonials arrive from every continent, proving that one moment of strategic justice can reshape global business culture. At the annual Dignity Initiative Summit, Maya announces the next ambitious phase. We're expanding beyond hospitality. The principles that transformed our industry apply everywhere: retail, technology, finance, healthcare. Discrimination is expensive. Inclusion is profitable. It's time every industry learned that fundamental lesson. The audience of 5,000 business leaders erupts in thunderous applause. In the back row, Victoria Whitmore watches via live stream from her modest consulting office. She signed her first client, a hotel chain desperate to avoid becoming the next Whitmore. Maya looks directly into the camera for her closing challenge. To everyone watching, you possess power you don't realize. Your choices, where you spend money, where you work, who you support, actively shape our world. The next time you witness discrimination, remember that silence enables complicity. To business leaders, the days of consequence-free prejudice are permanently over. Your customers are watching. Your employees are documenting. The market is judging. Choose wisely. And to anyone who's ever been told they don't belong somewhere, Remember that the Whitmore family thought I was hired help. 6 months later, I owned their entire company. Never let someone else's limitations define your infinite possibilities. Should there be legal consequences for workplace discrimination? Where are you watching from? And most importantly, what will you do the next time you witness injustice? The screen fades to impactful text. The Dignity Initiative has funded 1,000 businesses and created 50,000 jobs, but Maya Chen's biggest challenge lies ahead. Cut to Maya receiving a call from the president's senior economic advisor. Ms. Chen, we need to discuss implementing the dignity model at the federal level for all government contracting. Maya smiles and answers the phone with characteristic confidence. I'm listening. Dignity isn't negotiable, and discrimination isn't profitable.